Welcome, everybody. So my name is Anne-Claire Lebianco. This is what I was trying to say. We are delighted to have you for today's event, Women Founders Get Together. Sorry for the technical issue. I was supposed to be at the Microsoft building, but we have a fire drill happening now. So I'm at the gym and trying to make this event happening. So thank you for joining. I think we're going to go into the agenda. We have the reactor code of conduct, which is very important. During this hour, we want to be mindful and be kind between each other. For the agenda and what's going to happen for the next hour. So as you know, we have amazing speakers during this event for you. So we have Riham, Emily, Courtney from a founder and investor's perspective who will be doing a panel discussion. Before that, Lina will be taking us through the diversity and inclusion at Microsoft, and that will take 5 minutes. And then I will be leading the panel discussion with our amazing speakers. And finally, we will have Maria, who will present a very short introduction of Founders Hub and the go-to-market. So again, thank you very much for joining, and I will hand it over to Lina.
Awesome, thank you. Just to check, everyone can hear me okay, hopefully. Cool. Perfect. Thanks, Rav. So hi, everyone. Great to see you and super privileged to be part of the session today. As Anne-Claire said, my name is Lena. I am the business manager for our small and medium business organization at Microsoft for EMEA. Super passionate about startups and creating equal opportunities and also leveraging the power of community to support and learn from each other. So super happy to be here. And I wanted to start the session off today by kind of pointing out why diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important to us at Microsoft, what it means for our company, our commitments, and hopefully use this overview to set the context as to why we're running this series and also why we're so passionate that our programs and our initiatives support a diverse range of people, businesses, and needs. Next slide, please. Great. So I think it's, to start off, really important, if you just go back one slide, please, Rav, really important to recognize that our journey and our learnings are ongoing as a company, but we are really clear about our goals. With our company values in mind, we want, if I put my internal lens on, every employee to feel like we can be our authentic selves so that we can do our best work. And we also aim to influence systemic and sustainable change, which requires us to do a lot more than, just put up posters or write a check. It requires us to do the micro and macro motions every single day that influence employees' experiences and ultimately transform the systems that drive access, opportunity, and greater equality. Diversity and inclusion is very complex. It's often really challenging, sometimes messy, but it's really essential to our strategy and success as a company. And we are very accountable to our commitments in this space. Next slide. Thank you. So if we put a Microsoft lens on it, the company has grown from, let's say, $22,000 startup to now a $2 trillion company with more than 190,000 employees and activities in 190 countries. What does it mean to engage, empower, and support the success of people in all these places in the world, both inside and outside of the company? We can really only do that successfully when we do focus on diversity and inclusion. There are billions of people in this planet who want to achieve more, but too often having a different set of circumstances, abilities, or background can block someone from fully participating in the world on their terms. So as we continue to work in more global and in more complex environments, focusing on D&I will make us more adept at meeting the challenges and also the opportunities of modern society. So on the next slide, not long after Satya Nadella became our CEO in 2014, he really challenged us. And Rav, if you can go to the next slide, please. He challenged our entire company to rediscover our soul. And it sounds a little bit cheesy, but he asked us to consider, hey, why do we exist? And what would the world be like without us in it? And these are pretty existential questions for a middle-aged technology company, but this is what we did. And if you just click once more, in 2015, Microsoft announced our refresh mission to the world, which is to empower every person, every organization on the planet to achieve more. But our mission to empower everyone can obviously only be fulfilled when everyone is included. Next slide, please. And, we can't empower the world beyond Microsoft if we don't represent the world inside of Microsoft as well. So we've been focused on D&I for decades, yet the last 2 years, I think, have really challenged us to raise the bar as individuals, but also as a company to do more. Across communities and across society, something has fundamentally shifted. Ongoing acts of hate and violence around the world have continued to move racial and other injustices to the forefront of social consciousness. The global pandemic disproportionately impacted people of marginalized identities. It exacerbated inequities and really turned the way we all work and live completely upside down. And in the face of these factors, the sense of urgency, I think, to solve some of the biggest systemic problems of equity and inclusion is really palpable. We can't ask people to leave their identities at the door when they come to work, and the impacts of the outside world really show up in our organizations every day. And employees have made it really clear that they need companies to understand their lived experiences and support them holistically inside, but also beyond the company's boundary. And companies can do this through benefits, policies, advocacy, access to opportunity, behavior change, and really making space for the challenging but necessary conversations that bring issues like social justice, covering, and mental health to the forefront. So I think in a world where, as our CEO says, empathy is the new currency, a purposeful focus on diversity and inclusion is fundamental, and we're really committed to rising to that challenge. So on the next slide, I think with our company's platform and with our mission and also understanding the multifaceted case for D&I, we are really continuing to evolve how we approach this work at Microsoft. And I believe with our industry scale, our public platform, and our global reach, we both have a really significant opportunity, but also significant accountability. Our kind of responsibility is first and foremost to those who work with us, but also to the larger technology industry, the customers we serve, and communities like these. So on the next slide, we've got kind of the 4 pillars that are very foundational to our approach to D&I, and for our work in the startup community specifically. We really recognize the immense need for an increase in inclusivity in this ecosystem. Specifically for this audience, we all know women are the driving force behind a thriving economy, and our aim is, through our programs, through our initiatives, to provide equitable access to training, mentorship, tools, and resources to help accelerate your growth. And we do this alongside our own experts, but also the broader ecosystem of partners and investors, like the amazing teams and people we've got on the session today. So hopefully this kind of helped set the context of the series, but also our commitment to you. And I'm now really excited to hand you over to Anne-Claire to kick off the discussion with Seedrs and BGF. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lina. And for the folks who might be asking for additional information about diversity and inclusion at Microsoft, we will add a link onto the follow-up email. So as you know, again, today, really the aim is to do this get-together for women founders and specifically on securing investment. So I'm delighted to have Riham, Courtney, and Emily, who will be helping us to take you through some of the pain points that you have as a woman founders. Before we start the panel discussion, which will be in between 20-25 minutes, I want to emphasize that really this event is for you. Take it as in it's an office hours. Ultimately, the speakers are going to introduce themselves. I'm going to ask the first questions, but do not hesitate to put questions, any topic that you're not sure about as part of your fundraising journey as a woman founder on the chat. If you're not a woman founder, please do so as well, because we have opened this event to all as well. There is no stupid question. Fundraising is very difficult for everybody. So it could be specifically to your business. It could be, I don't know, you're not sure about one slide. You want to know more about something about our speakers and their thoughts. Please do not hesitate to ask your question on the chat. So without further ado, I'm just going to ask all of the speakers to introduce themselves, their background, and what they are doing, starting with Emily.
Sorry, having an unmute issue there as well. We're off. Thanks so much for having me on the panel. It's really great to be here and support female founders, as we all know how ridiculously important it is to support female founders, and we're going to get onto that. But I was a female founder myself, so I've kind of seen the startup world from all sides as a founder, and also now working on the investment side. I ran a soft drinks business for 5 years. We raised money through crowdfunding, we raised money through venture debt. So I've really kind of been through that journey. I'm currently now the global head of partnerships for Seedrs in the UK and Europe, and our parent company Republic, who operate in the US. We are, for those that don't know, we are a global private equity investment platform. So we offer things such as crowdfunding. We have a secondaries market. We do private raises. So we've raised over 2 billion worth of investment for companies now globally, which is pretty incredible. I'm very keen to get into the conversation because I've seen it both as a female founder and the challenges that I had of raising investment and just that female founding journey, to now seeing it from the investment side and how we actually support female founders, and the importance of what we do and the impact that has on the ecosystem. So very glad to be here, really looking forward to connecting with as many people as possible, and sharing the journey I've had.
Thank you, Millie. Courtney?
Hi, everyone. Again, thank you to Microsoft for having me on the panel. I'm Courtney. I'm part of BGF. I'm an investor in the Manchester team. Bit of background on BGF. We are a £2.5 billion UK SME fund. We're a minority investor, and we typically invest across all sectors, but we have had a real push to continue investing in the female-led business space, because as Emily touched on, it's really good for the wider diversity of thought and representation piece, and I'm been glad to help feed into that as part of BGF. My background is in corporate finance, so that's on the sell side as opposed to investing. I've had several years experience in corporate finance, where I would help management teams and entrepreneurs and founders to help prepare their business and then help them through the sell side process. You deal with them every day, and you become really invested in their business and almost feel a part of the team. And then once you kind of sold it or help them gain investment, that they just kind of slipped away, and you never really got to see them on the next phase of their growth. So it always left me feeling quite unfulfilled in that sense. So when the opportunity came to move to BGF, I snapped it up. I really liked their ethos of being a minority investor, and being there to support management teams rather than take full control of the business. So I think that's a really key USP there, and it also enabled me to get more involved with the management team and entrepreneurs going forward in that next phase through the work I do on the portfolio side.
Thank you so much, Courtney. And Riham?
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Anne-Claire. Thanks for inviting me as well. Hi, I'm Riham. I'm one of the co-founders of a tech company called eventID, and we are in the diversity and inclusion space, interestingly enough, and we're a D&I ecosystem that helps organizations to try and detect potential biases that exist in their hiring process and beyond, and try and use technology to try and mitigate these biases along the process. And I'm coming at this kind of panel from a perspective of a female founder, having gone through the journey of scaling a company from ground zero all the way up. And fun enough, just in the process of closing an investment round, or just closed one. So perfect timing, so I can share all the pain and gains on that experience as well. But we've done several investment rounds in our journey at eventID. Everything from raising from angel investors to institutional funds as well. So a mixture and very different experiences in all fronts from that perspective. Before running eventID, actually, I came from the world of academia. So I'm a neuroscientist by background and have come into the world of entrepreneurship and just learned by having great mentors, joining incubator accelerator programs, and just getting things done on the day-to-day job, really. So I'm excited to be here and share some of those experiences with everyone today.
Thank you so much, Riham. And actually, as you mentioned that you have recently fundraised, would you be able to tell us more about this journey, also from the beginning? So what round did you raise, and what was the pain point and perhaps challenges that you went through, and what would be the best practices for founders on the call?
We need an hour for just that topic there alone, Angela. Yeah, let me try and talk about this very briefly. And I was going to say something actually before going through the journey. Being, I guess, an academic, we have good experience about writing grant applications. So before we actually went into investment, at the very beginning stages of MeVitae, we actually avoided raising until we absolutely needed to. And there was no other option, because it's always a chicken and egg situation. You go to an investor and, okay, well, how many clients have you got? Especially if you're SaaS-based, and you think, okay, well, I need the investment to build the product to get the clients. And you go through this feedback mechanism that takes a while to break. So the way we broke that cycle is we actually went down grant routes. So we got funding from Oxford Council, because we were based at Oxford and Harwell. We got funding from Innovate UK. So we probably got about $500,000 aggregated of grant funding to build the product first and build the solutions we needed to build, and actually then get the pilot clients and get them to pay before we then reached out to investors. And for our perspective, at the very early stage, we started networking and talking to investors, either through our own network, through our mentors giving introductions, or through just going to events and doing pitches. The biggest challenge at the very beginning was getting a lead investor. Everyone was following. Everyone was a follower. Getting that lead is an interesting conversation that probably takes a whole debate on its own. And we were fortunate enough in our first round to be, we had a fund called SFC Capital. They used to be called Startup Funding Club. They led our first investment round in 2018. We raised about just about 500K, I believe it was, to match actually our grant funding that we had. And that allowed us to continue building the product, but also to start hiring some of our key team members that we needed at MeVitae. So we hired some developers. That experience was interesting, because going from due diligence, data rooms, being able to negotiate term sheets. We had a great lawyer on our side to be able to kind of go through that process. And that round took about a year or so just to close. In fact, so that was the first experience. The second one took 2 weeks, really. We didn't get any new investors on the second round that we did. We just went to our existing investors. That's why it took a short amount of time. And this round that we just completed, this was about a 1.5 mil round. So I'd class this more of a seed round, especially if you're in the UK. And this was led by Apex Black. Now that experience, we only raised because we needed to. And the reason why was because we were rapidly growing out in the States. So we needed to start hiring some of our key members over in the US. And again, once we had our lead investor, the negotiating of those term sheets we spent quite a while doing that first, and rounding out the other investors to be able to get to our initial round. We wanted to raise about $1 million, really. So we oversubscribed on that round, which is great. But the negotiating after took a bit of time, which is normal and expected. And again, it was that kind of herding process of getting all the investors engaged and getting them to feel like, okay, we need to hurry up. We need to close this round and do it quickly. And so we had a deadline for the 31st of October, Halloween. Everyone had to commit in our investment round. And we've learned lots of experiences from this process. I'd say the first thing we learned was making sure everyone have your data room ready for due diligence packs, making sure your pitch deck is ready, and making sure that you've reviewed it several times and get feedback from different people, making sure that when you're negotiating terms, you've got a great lawyer with you to be able to do that as well. I'm sure we'll delve into this a bit later, but as you probably can see from how I'm talking, different experiences on every single round that we've done. And I expect it will continue to be like that, really. But it's been a whirlwind. Wouldn't change it for the world.
Thank you so much, Riham, and again, congratulations. And you really just emphasize how full-time job this is, like to fundraise, and folks need to understand, and I'm sure they are. We have seen a lot of questions popping up already. I'm just going to ask Courtney and Emily to talk about respectively what BGF and Seedrs are doing, in terms of investment, what is that they are looking for, also especially what they are doing for women founders. So Courtney, if you can start.
Yeah, I see a lot of points in the chat about that there's a need for more kind of networking events. Something I think BGF's doing to support not only women founders in the portfolio, but also local female-led businesses around the regions, is we host regular female founder events. So that's whereby we'll go out to a handful. We can tend to keep them quite small, maybe 15, 20 female founders across CEOs, CFOs, CEOs, bringing them together to network with like-minded peers, find out a bit more about private equity and your funding options, as well as we often get an experienced speaker in. So we did it recently in Manchester, and we had Sharon Bailey-Bell, who is a NXC in one of our portfolio business, but has also been through the same pains as a female founder. She's grown a business, sold it, and has now went on to be a plural NXC on numerous tech-backed businesses. So we had a little bit of a Q&A with her, and it was a really nice informal event where everyone could come together and openly ask questions and share experiences. Because I think one thing we learned from being such a volume investor is, although you may feel like an island in the sea, 9 times out of 10, your problems and pain points have been seen elsewhere, and just making sure that women have a network to kind of reach out and ask those questions and feel comfortable about doing so. Because like you say, there is such a funding gap in female and women-led businesses, and when you do the research, a lot of that is just down to lack of knowledge and lack of network. So we're trying to really bridge that gap in that sense. And I'm happy to say that BGF are doing so and actually putting their money where their mouth is. So we've been numerously, I think 4 years running, been recognised as the Scale Up Institute's lead women-led business investor for 4 years running. We've backed numerous, I think 50 plus female-led businesses over the past 10 or so years, invested in over $500 million across initial and then follow-on funding.
Wow, thank you, Courtney. Emily?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to start with the why. Like, why is it important to actually close this gap? So McKinsey did a kind of study into it, and according to them, if you close the gender gap, it can add up to 5 trillion to the global GDP. And then there was another project done from Project Diane, which says that increasing the number of Black women who raise venture capital could create over 1 million jobs by 2026. So I think it's important. I mean, not only is it, the right thing to do, but there's a tangible factor to being able to close this gap. And the impact that has on our ecosystem is huge. It creates innovation, it creates jobs, it creates wealth. And I think people need to see that as such. It's not just a tick box exercise, it's a tangible movement forward for our ecosystem that we all need to realize and move towards. So one of the things that really drew me to work for Seedrs is that the whole foundation and the whole premise of what we built as a company is around democratizing access to capital. So the pure premise of kind of crowdfunding is around, making it easier for everybody to access capital, making it a wider kind of reach, so you can, access more female investors, you can, bring in your community, you can lower the investment target, so you can, get people in at a lower amount, set different terms. So it's that was one of the big things that drew me to kind of raising with Seedrs. And we've done a lot in this space. So we've actually raised nearly 500 million for campaigns led by over 237 female founders. We have an 88% success rate for female founders on our platform, which is huge. Completely, puts the averages to shame of in our sector. And over 50 of those campaigns raised over 1 million. So it's pretty impressive. We also have 23% of successfully funded campaigns on Seedrs platform are actually female founders, which is way higher than the industry average. 30% of our investors are actually women. So we are really driving kind of success rates in this space. And we're doing a lot of similar stuff to what BGF are saying, what Courtney's saying. We try and really engage our community. So we have, incredible portfolio companies now that have raised with us. We try and connect our portfolio companies where we can. So you become part of the Seedrs ecosystem, the Seedrs community. We do a lot of events. We do a lot of collaborations. We try and, have thought leadership in the space, because that's really important to voice actually what we believe in and why it's important to move forward.
Amazing. Thank you, Emily. Thank you for BGF and Seedrs of what you're doing for women founders. And also, I think that what is highlighting here from all of your talk is that doing your own research, going out there, getting visibility, getting into networking, events and pitching activities. I'm gonna jump into the Q&A section now, because we have quite a few topics. From the first one, we have Thanel Ivy asking, do you guys invest in early stage pre-revenue startups in Africa? Who wants to start?
We don't at Seedrs or Republic. To be honest, our focus is more typically on seed, Series A and beyond. So, and that the main reason is because it's, I think a lot of our investors are looking for somewhat more traction nowadays, kind of more proven concept. I think that's happening across the board in VC as well. It's a more established companies. There are businesses, there are VCs that invest pre-seed. There's definitely ones out there. We don't, because it's about having a community that you can engage with, and typically pre-seed companies don't have that.
Yeah, and likewise at BGF, just for clarity for the chat, we also don't do pre-revenue. We typically, our investment criteria is on an ARR basis, a couple million ARR or 1 million EBITDA. We're probably the next step on from a Seedrs kind of investment stage. So we're at that growth stage when you're ready for scale up rather than start up. We're a UK focused fund, so can invest anywhere across the UK. But yeah, typically to look for that kind of couple million ARR, 1 million EBITDA size range.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And maybe, Nathaniel, you might want to look into accelerators who are also giving some money to startups, rather than VC funding. Then we have another question from Johanna. Sorry. So I often hear, if you want money, ask for advice. If you ask for money, expect advice. What is your take on it? I don't want to appear hesitant to openly ask for investment or come across dishonest.
I would say there's a bit of truth to that, and I'll give you an example from our perspective. I always have conversations with investors when we're not raising, right? Because there's a lot of prep work that you need to do in advance, right? We were prepping about a couple of months at least before we started our investment rounds. And so when I'd have conversations with investors, I would say to them, I'm not raising, I'm not looking to raise money or anything like that. I'm just here to, I guess, build that relationship and those contacts, and I'll let you know when I'm raising. And so what we do is after we'd had the conversations with investors, we would have, I'd ask them, we've got a mailing list that every couple of months we send out an email to give investors updates on where we are on our journey, how far we've got, and when are we going to raise, if that's in the journey. And we actually literally have a very high open rate and like reading rate and click rate on that. It's way above 50% of investors, and there's about 100 and something in their network now. And using that of just opening the door, having the conversations is really useful. And then giving them the regular updates so you can build that relationship over time. And I'd have regular touch points with them. So they will know when we're getting to raising, and we would go, okay, we're about to raise. Let's jump on a call. I can go through the deck with you, give you some more insights. So that's how I would kind of connect it, as opposed to asking for advice. It's more kind of getting an opportunity to connect with those investors.
Yeah, just to follow on from that, I think that is a really good point in terms of building up that relationship. If you know in future that you potentially are looking to do a fundraise, it is really good to get those relationships in early, as it speeds up the process later down the line, because we're ahead of the curve. We'll understand what the business is doing. We'll have seen a couple months, maybe 12 to 18 months of how you've been trading through, if you do something like Greenham's done through the mailing list. I wouldn't be hesitant or afraid to ask for investment. I always think it's good to go in with a clear, this is what I want and need as part of your business plan. So go in with a clear idea of that, but be able to back up as to why you need that amount of money, and what is it going to be used for. I think that'll help you in conversations as well.
Emily, do you want to add anything, or everything has been covered?
I think that was good.
Cool. Great. Then we have a question from Amy. So how did you learn about all the finance side of things, term sheets? I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this word correctly. It's always like a nightmare for me as a French native. Lead investor, Riham, where did you start? And yeah, thank you, Thanel, for advising on the venture deals book. Yeah, it's a very good one. But if you have any additional thoughts, please tell Amy.
No, absolutely. I think it's a good point. There's lots of, I guess, books and that you can start with. I learned just by doing it on the job, to be honest, is the short, honest answer. I spoke to other founders who have gone through the process already. So if we were raising seed, I'd speak to Series A people. Now we're doing our series, prepping for our Series A. I'm speaking to people in Series B. So you'll know one step ahead of what to expect. So you plan as if you're raising for a B, but you're actually raising a Series A. So that was one thing that I learned. And it's just talking to other founders who've done it before, what their experiences have been like, working with certain investors, but also their funds as well, and learning about their experiences of how they've raised, what have they learned, what went well, what didn't work well. So talk to investors who've done it both ways, successfully and unsuccessfully, because you learn just as much from both perspectives. Also just mentors. I've got a great network of mentors and existing non-exec members in our board who have gone through this experience before of raising, and asking them just all the silly questions really that I could possibly ask. What even is a term sheet? What do I do with it? How do I negotiate it? How long does it take to get a lead investor? All the questions that you could possibly think. I was asking a lot of our mentors. But like I said earlier, our lawyer was great as well around, because they've done this before so many times. It were having their experience of negotiating these term sheets. What is normal on the term sheets, what's not. All of those advice was great for knowing, okay, are we being mugged off or are we not? Is this normal? Is it not? So literally the answer is your network, really. And going to events like this to ask the questions is fundamental.
For anybody interested as well, we have what we call our Seedrs Academy, and it's a completely free toolkit of information. There's blog posts, there's people's pitch decks that you can download all for free. You just kind of go on it. I'll get Microsoft to share the link in the follow-up email, but it's a really useful toolbox for this kind of information. It's got everything from finance, legal, pitch decks, everything you kind of can imagine.
Courtney, do you want to add anything, or we are good?
No, I think that's all good. I think I'll just echo the last point around, I think finance and whatnot, you can get a lot of good advice around those topics from your network, but on the law and legal side, I think it is definitely important to take professional advice on that, as it could really trip you up down the line. You want to know exactly what you're signing up for, an investment. So whenever it comes to exit, there's not all these skeletons in the closet. So definitely invest in a good lawyer if you're looking to fundraise.
Thank you, Courtney. And thank you, Emily and Riham, for your advice. And the Seedrs Academy sounds to be amazing resources, Emily. We'll send that to folks. We have a question from Shalini. What do you suggest is the best time to raise funding when we are just in MVP development stage? During this stage, can we raise to expedite the process, or should we go after MVP is ready? Who want to get that one?
I would say so. I would try and delay it if you can. Is the like I said earlier, don't raise until you absolutely need to raise. But no harm in having the conversations with the investors until you to build that relationship. What we did, because we were at that MV development stage, this is when we used the grants really to get the MVP built. So we didn't go to investors because we'd know we'd dilute equity. So we got funding from different grant providers. It is time consuming, I will say that. I don't know enough about your business, but if it is tech or deep tech or is kind of innovative, then you could go down that route, like Innovate UK, for instance. That's what we did, and use that to build the rest of the MVP, build the relationships with investors, get use cases, and then went out to raise after that. Because otherwise, if you raise whilst you're at this MVP stage, then you might be giving away more equity. But I don't know if Emily or Courtney's got any perspective on their end.
Yeah, it's really tricky without knowing the business because every single business case is very different. Some people raise the MVP stage because they need the cash to expedite growth quicker. Some people want to hold on to the equity, like Riham said, for as long as possible. I know businesses that have never given away equity in their entire lives and grown, from other ways. There's lots of, I would note that there's lots of different ways to raise finance for your business at different stages. So it's just being aware of those, whether that's, angel investments, funds, crowdfunding, to debt financing, to non-dilutive financing, the likes of kind of Cap Chase or Uncapped or someone like that, to grant funding. There is so many different ways. I would say with your MVP stage, look at potentially something like, you've got Virgin startup loans, stuff like that can kind of kick you off as well. But it really depends on your sector, your business, your team. There's so many different things that will go into it as to why you'd get the financing or what route you would take. So without really knowing what it is, it's really difficult to comment on which route you should go down.
Yeah, nothing really more to add there, given earlier stage isn't really our specialty, but I think echoing the advice that try and explore other options to kind of get it off the ground before going for investments, just so you can get the best deal possible and don't have to give up too much of what you've worked so hard to build in order to get off the ground.
Thank you so much. We have a follow-on question from Shalini. What should a woman founder from technical background focus upon, while handling business aspects of deals?
I mean, as an investor, we'd be looking at kind of finances are going to be really important. So I always say this to everybody: the importance of having like your finances in order and like a really solid financial model is really key. So if you don't have that, and you don't have the experience or the expertise to build that, I would absolutely source somebody that could help you do that, because without having a fundamental underlying, financial model to build up your business, I don't think an investor will take it seriously. That's
I think that point on building out the management team around you, if you've got a really good focus and technical specialty in one area that's helped you get the business to a certain point, you need to think, what do I need to get the business from there to why? So we're seeing a lot of businesses that come up and they've been really bootstrapped to date. The CEO is also the sales director and kind of the marketing guy, and they're just there's too much on that one person. So again, on the financial side, we're seeing that exact same position where they come in and they've not got a fully functioning model. So that is something we see more and more, and through our network we can assist and provide some in-house kind of interim modelers to come in and work with your business. It's typically over a couple of weeks to kind of get down, and you'll feed into it and they'll help you build a model, and then you can use that for your investment process. So those are the key things. And then I think as when you're ready at that stage to think about it, building out the management team to support you in the other functions, where if you acknowledge that you've got a kind of an area lacking, would be great pre going to market.
Thank you. Then thank you, Divya and M. Hunter, for providing with additional responses to Shalini and Amy. And we have a question from someone. Apologies, I can't read your name. But the question is maybe a bit of a sensitive question, but have you ever encountered an example of an indirect unfair treatment because you're a woman? I have felt differently treated than my male counterparts in the past.
I definitely have experienced that when I was a founder. So I started my business as a sole female founder, and then my husband actually joined the team. And when we do investment meetings, there was some cases where we would sit down, and bear in mind it was me who kind of started the company originally. There would be times where the guys from the investment committee would be pointing the direction, the questions directed just to my husband, and I'd be like, hello, I'm still in the room, like, why aren't you kind of talking to me? So there's definitely, and I don't even think some people realize that they're doing it, so it's like a natural thing sometimes to just be like, oh, I'm gonna talk to this guy because he's a guy, and I'm gonna he seems to probably know what he's talking about more. And it's really frustrating as a woman if you're put in that position. And the only way I would handle it was to have that conversation with my co-founder and my husband to say, I will try and lead the conversation and try and take over as much kind of it as possible, that kind of sits within my remit, so that I had a voice in the room and made sure that I was kind of seen and there was an importance to it. Sometimes you have to take it into your own hands, which is frustrating because everyone should be given an equal opportunity, but sometimes it isn't the case, and you got to kind of push your own agenda a lot of the time.
Yeah, I connect with that. I felt it even in the workplace, when you're going to work with these management teams, and I'm there with the rest of my team, and it's a male dominated room, and the focus edges towards that end of the table. It's just an unfortunate unconscious bias that we still need to work through. I think a really good initiative that BGF are doing is ensuring that I think over 50% of new investment hires at BGF are women. So that just makes sure that if we're going to a female led business, there can be a woman in there to speak to, because we do just feel more comfortable communicating with like-minded people. So I think if possible, researching your investor and making sure that they're aligned with your kind of ethos and goals will help. And if you're going to these meetings with investors and they're like that, you probably wouldn't want to gain investment and work with them over the next 3 to 5 years. So it's probably as much a downfall on them as anything.
Yeah, I've had similar experiences as well. And yeah, we haven't worked with them. I've been asked, or I've had statements like, "Oh, you're young," or "Are you married? Have you got kids? Are you planning on having kids?" I've had the whole shebang, and yeah, you just don't end up working with those investors, especially if you're building a company that's around DE&I. That doesn't work with the ethos of the organisation. So you walk away as quickly as possible, really.
Thank you so much. Conscious about the time, I need to give 5 minutes at least to Maria, but I'm just continue on the questions. So if we can be quick on the answer, we have a lot of questions. If we can't answer them live, we're gonna take them and on the follow-up email that you will receive either tomorrow or next week. You will get the responses that you have asked. Sorry. So we have M Hunter asking. So for Emily, for the 88% stat, what stage of investment are you referring to, and what annual recurring revenue size?
Really mixed. So at Seedrs, like we said, we do everything from kind of seed to pre-IPO, because we actually have a secondaries market as well. A lot of the times that we find great success is actually when there's a VC backed company and there's an allocation in their round for the crowd. So that works very, very well. So we do a lot of raises for kind of Series A companies. But we do have a lot of companies that have come on and to maybe do like a friends and families round. So we do investment from £150,000 and up. So if you are kind of seed stage looking to raise money from your community, maybe your connections, your network, we're very open to having the conversation. We're sector agnostic, so we work across all different types of sectors. We're having a lot of success in the climate sector at the moment. So if you are in sustainability, then definitely hooks up. But we're very it's across the board. So right from seed to kind of Series A and beyond. In terms of annual recurring revenue, it differs depending on the stage that you're at.
Thank you. Then we have a question from Margot Blanc. What is your advice to lock a lead seed investor as limited time as possible? Courtney, do you want to take this one?
We typically don't do seed rounds. We'll typically be the sole investor, so it might be better for Rhian or Emily to answer that one, just for time efficiency as well.
Absolutely. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, just ask them. Simplest answer. Ask the question. Do you lead rounds? Yes, no. If they do, then great, you're on your way. Ask if they're potentially interested in leading this round. And you can, they'll ask you the questions of how much have you got committed, and you start going down that path. If they're followers, then the best option is take their details and tell them that you'll reach out once you've got that lead. Keep them warm as much as possible during that time period as well, but just ask the question. That's my advice.
Cool. Then for question related incubator, female founders network and pre-revenue questions, we will take that offline because again, taking into account that the speaker's expertise, I'm going to take Agnes' question on what's a good criteria for valuation for B2B SaaS, €500 per month per user, ARR 10 times.
It really high level, it would be it's quite hard to tell just in terms of there's lots of nuances around what sector and level of customer concentration and all that will be taken into consideration. 10 times ARR is a possibility. I think there has been a shift in the market as well to not just focus on top line recurring revenue, but also profitability. Ever since kind of the kind of stock market crash of last year and interest rates at the stage that they are, there's investors have been keen to make sure that businesses are actually underlyingly actually viable. So there used to be a kind of, I think it was a 40% rule that if your EBITDA margin and your growth rate, ARR growth rate equaled 40%, then you're a kind of a top quartile tech business. That's kind of shifted more towards actually focusing on can the business cut costs and still grow. So don't be shy of then when you're at that right stage, focusing on slower ARR growth for bottom line profitability to kind of achieve top valuations in the current market.
Perfect. And I would take one more question, which I think is interesting and applicable to also from Sasha. How did you find good mentors? And that would be the last question that we take.
So from our perspective, they didn't start off as mentors. They all started off as just contacts and people that had, I guess, an interest in what we were doing. And then that developed into mentors. The way that happened is, whilst I'd have meetings with different people who in the sphere, I'd say, is it okay if I kind of keep people updated on our progress, how we're doing, if I can reach out to you if I've got any questions? And most people just say, yeah, no, sure, and of course. So we would, and that's what I would do. I'd reach out every couple of months, give them an update, grab a coffee, and you do that after a while, and you don't have a label on it yet. So we ask, would it be okay if I call you as a mentor? We've been working or talking to each other for a while. Would that be okay? And most people would have no problems. I'll tell you if there's a problem. So I've gone a bit about it more subtly, really, than most people, just directly, can you be my mentor? And then the other thing is make sure you have multiple mentors, not just one. Different perspectives is very important. So in my case, I had a mentor that had experience in HR tech, experience in scaling a business, experience in technology, experience in finance. So you can actually get different opinions, because that's what they are most of the time, opinions. So it's good to have different viewpoints as well.
I would also say, like, when you are looking at getting investors, ask them, are they going to be passive or active investors? Some investors might actually want to take an active role in mentoring or taking on certain roles within the business. So it's important to understand when you're going out for investment what you want from your investors, and if that is an active part of your business, it's important to seek out investors that you want experience or expertise in. So I would take that as a note when you are doing your investment rounds as well.
Cool. Thank you so much, Reham, Courtney, and Emily, for presenting, introducing your background, what is that you're doing, and answering all of those questions. And apologies to the folks that we were not able to answer question. Again, we have taken the question, and we will answer them offline on the thank you email. So now I'm just going to hand it over to Maria, who will be doing a very short introduction on Microsoft for Startup Founders Hub and the go-to-market at Microsoft.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, and a great panel. So thank you all for listening. My name is Maria Oliver. I am a Partner Development Manager at Microsoft, and I want to run through the various Microsoft programs that we have to help you as a partner build, innovate, and grow with Microsoft. So if we go to the next step, the next page, please. Thank you. So Microsoft is really yes, that's the one. Thank you. Microsoft is really a partner-led company. And essentially, we split the Microsoft journey into three main building blocks. The first is building with Microsoft. So we want to help you build, innovate with Microsoft, using the right technology, optimizing on the cloud, all of those good technical things that you need to succeed. We want to provide you with the right resources to do that. We also help with go-to-market. So what we mean by go-to-market is essentially accelerating your time to market with our various go-to-market campaigns. That could be through case studies, press releases, all sorts of things that we can help you go to market with. And lastly is co-selling. So what we mean by co-selling is we've got 3 main areas. Co-selling with our salespeople. So as you can imagine, we've got a huge sales community globally to help you co-sell with. We also have our B2B commercial marketplace, where we have 4 million active users at any time, which is an amazing way to accelerate, again, your time to market, reach new regions, reach new customers. And then lastly, co-selling with our partners. So 90,000 cloud solution providers that we have across the globe. And that's inclusive of resellers, system integrators, and many more. And effectively, our success is your success. We want to make you as successful as possible. And therefore, we see the success on the Microsoft technology. So if we go to the next slide, please, Rav. And we've got 2 main programs to help you do this. The one that I think most people in this call will be very interested in is the Founders Hub. This is a free program to join for everyone, and it's as part of Microsoft for Startups. This is for, an idea up to Series C. So it really is a range of partners can join this program. And once you're Series C and above, or if you have graduated from the Founders Hub, we then have the ISV Success Program. Both programs provide you with free credits, licenses, and the commercial and technical engagement that you need to succeed. And the next slide, please. Within Founders Hub, it really is building on your own terms. So you can have a look at our Founders Hub on startups.microsoft.com. And we provide you with a number of benefits through the program. Firstly, building your product. So we give you Microsoft Azure licenses up to 150K over 4 years. We give you Visio Studio, we give you GitHub, but also we're aware that it can be expensive as a startup to run your own business internally. That's why we give you the applications to run your own business. We give you access to Microsoft 365, Power Platform, and Dynamics. And the next slide, please. Very excitingly, we also have, we've given our partners access to OpenAI. So clearly, very hot topic at the moment. Whether you're wanting to leverage AI, whether you're building a chatbot or an image-based application, exploring natural languages, we have given you, through Founders Hub, the access to OpenAI. So you can try it out today, you can explore, the different licenses that we can give you, and really start building your journey with OpenAI also. And the next slide. And we also have AI technical advisory. So we don't want to just give you all these resources and leave you to it. Of course, we want to give you advice and guidance where you need it. So we have, through Founders Hub, Startup Technical Advisory, Azure App Consult, Fast Track, and Azure Skilling, to really give you the resources and the consultancy advice that you need to succeed. And there are specific requirements to access these programs, but again, we can give advice on that. And then the next slide, please. And really, I just want to stress the point of, within Microsoft, we really differentiate ourselves in the fact that we have lots of different technologies that we can help you use, not only for internal use for your company, but also external. So the fact that we can help partners integrate with Teams, integrate with Office 365, Power Platform, that really differentiates us in the market. So we have teams of resources that can help you look at the different technology that's available and how to, reach new customers, for example, through Teams integration. So it's very much worth having a look at all of the different products that we have, and also the different clouds that you can see on the above the building blocks there. Microsoft Cloud for FinTech, healthcare, all of those things are amazing differentiators for your business, your company, to build with Microsoft. And then finally, I will end with the AI Accelerator in a few slides through. Thank you. And the next one, just conscious of time. There we go. So we've told you a lot around, the different programs that you have, the Founders Hub, and also the ISV Success Program. But we want to tell you a little bit more around what we're doing in AI, and also specifically the go-to-market journey that we can provide for you. So please do have a look at our AI Accelerate, aks.ms/AI Accelerate, and you can register for the 6th of December at 11 a.m. I also just wanted to highlight, I'm very aware that I've gone through this quite quickly, but we are around to help. So as you can see at the bottom there, isvuk@microsoft.com. We are able to help you, to tell you which programs to join, to help you on your journey with the go-to-market with Microsoft. And yeah, we're here to help. So please do contact us to find out more. And that's it. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to our very special guests, Reham, Emily, and Courtney. I also wanted to thank our Microsoft guests, so Lena and Claire, and also we couldn't have done it without behind the scenes people, so Rav and Paul. So thank you so much, everyone. We will be following up with some more information. We're all on LinkedIn as well, so please do contact us, and we'll send across a few links and answer any questions that we haven't today. So thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thanks all. Bye.